Alrighty. I realized that I really hate driving, so this is why I decided to buy a Tesla. I just bought a brand new CX-5 2 years ago. I'm driving right now, actually. And it's a pretty decent car, reliable. I got it for 0% interest at a time, so great deal on it. I even got friends and family discount, so couldn't ask for more. It was my first big SUV car. Actually, I guess it's really not that big. It's considered compact. But my previous car was a Mazda 3 that I had for 12 years and still have now. But for me, it was a big upgrade to a family car because I do have one child when I first bought the car. And it's a nice car. I went on a lot of road trips for it. But I think now it's time for me to get electric. I feel like my whole life I actually hate driving. I mean, I drive just to get point A to point B, but long drives make me sleepy. I don't want to drive more than 2 to 3 hours. I hate picking people up. I barely even like driving myself to places. Short distances are fine, but I just find it to be tedious. Traffic makes me sleepy, especially here in Boston. You get all kind of traffic. So when I drive, I absolutely avoid all traffic hours. I don't drive at 9 a.m. I don't drive at 5 p.m. I drive either super early in the morning or late at night when there's no traffic. But if I drive at night, then I get sleepy. So this is one of the reasons why I finally decided to get a Tesla. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my research, the math, and all the reasonings why I finally pulled the trigger on getting a Tesla. I'm going to walk you through my journey as well from someone who is skeptical from the outside. I always like the idea of it, but I hear horror stories and I never really done as much research as I should. But at the time when I bought my CX-5, it was such a great deal that I couldn't pass up on it. But now that my old Mazda 3 is dying, I have to make a decision. Do we want two family cars? Do we want one? Do we just sell the old car? Or should we buy a new one? Do we need an even bigger car than the CX-5? Because the CX-5 is actually kind of cramped. And then I have to weigh out on whether or not I'm getting much more space with the Model Y. So those are a lot of things that I had to consider. But first, before I bought the CX-5, I actually reached out to a couple of my friends who own Tesla, and they didn't really do a good job of convincing me to actually buy the Tesla. Maybe because they weren't really sold on it themselves. Maybe because it was an older model. So then I started asking them about self-driving, because that seems like a pretty good selling point, right? One of them said that he likes the autopilot feature, which is the one where basically you drive it on the highway, it will auto steer and change lanes for you. Apparently that is different from full self-driving, which is the one where it will drive from your house all the way to wherever your destination is. So that kind of blew my mind that there's a distinction there. So he was happy with self-driving, just with the auto steer alone. He did not pay for the full self-driving package, but instead just opted for the auto steer. He wasn't too convinced at the time either. And then I had another friend who actually bought the full self-driving package, and for him, he did mention that he would use it sporadically. But thanks to Boston traffic, people tailgate and might get mad at you by the way that you're driving. But it was a full open road on the highway, then that would be the better use case for it. So this was back in the end of 2023. So after hearing that, I wasn't too convinced to get the Tesla. But now I am, after doing my first test drive. And as I've gotten older, I realized that I really hate driving.
Sometimes I just want to sit there and just relax and not have to spend energy racing people, defending myself. Sometimes you just want to chill, and not every day needs to be a fight. And my first test drive was in the Model X with the hardware 4. And honestly, it blew my mind. It basically drives the way I would drive. It's pretty safe. I never felt like there was any point where I would need to take over. Though I did take over so I can see what it's actually like to drive the thing. But that was an incredible car. It does cost $100K, so a bit pricey depending on your budget. I was actually looking in the used market and hoping to get something around the $50K range, just because I hear that Tesla, the value depreciate a lot, which sucks as a buyer of a brand new car. So in theory, it should be better if you are buying used. So I started looking into that and was pretty excited about it. Fortunately, a week after I test drove the Model X and was doing a lot of research in the used car market, I found out that they are discontinuing it in 2026 to make robots, which is a bummer. So I had to readjust the game plan there and did more research, deciding what to buy. Then I decided to give the Model Y a try. Initially we were going for the X because it's the bigger vehicle, has more room. So now we have to look into the Y. I mean, technically we can still get the X, but it makes me nervous with the car being discontinued. Parts are going to be harder to find. In theory, they said they're going to support it, but if it is no longer the flagship car, software updates, they're going to prioritize the Y and the 3, which is the majority of the market. And pretty sure the X is going to get the update eventually, but I'm almost positive it's gonna be a forgotten child. So no X for me. Although it's a pretty fun car. The Falcon Winds still make me nervous. I hear stories about how people have to repair it, and this will be a family car for 2 kids. I want something that's reliable and not have to spend a lot of money in the long run fixing it. So the Y is definitely the better deal in terms of price and reliability. Then I dragged my family, pregnant mother, baby with car seat and everything, to test drive the Model Y and do it all over again. We actually bought our car seat. We brought the stroller, make sure it passes the stroller test, and long and behold, it does. In our CX-5, when we put the upper baby stroller in the back, we cannot put it vertically because it's just not long enough and the trunk wouldn't close, so we always have to shift it horizontally, and that basically take up the whole trunk. So going around leaving a stroller in the trunk is a pain, because if all of a sudden we have to go to the grocery store and buy something, we have nowhere to put it. But at least in the Model Y, the trunk is huge. We can put it vertically. It still take about like half of the trunk vertically, but then you still have the other half to put stuff in, or you have space underneath the trunk to throw groceries in there, and also the front as well. So that's usually a space that's small enough for that. So from a storage point of view, we were pretty much sold on that. And there are times when I did road trip with my partner. When I get really tired, I let her take over on the highway and just drive around general. I mean, she does it here and there, but her driving gives me anxiety. It's just how she changed lanes and brake and things like that. But when I'm sitting in a Tesla, I feel much safer with the Tesla driving itself than her driving. And she even admit that herself, that the car drives better than her. So just having that secondary reliable driver or car that drives itself sounds like a game changer for me from someone who's trying to drive less. So Tesla just seems like a no-brainer. I tried looking into other EVs as well, and Tesla is just miles ahead just in terms of their self-driving capability and their software, and no one else can really compete. So I'm not even considering any other car regardless of what features, space, reliability. The Model Y is the top selling cars from like the last 3 years, so they're doing something right, and I think there's incredible value here. And honestly, just ready for a change, ready to join the EV world. I love tech. I love the idea of having tech in the car. Tesla's basically a tech company that makes car. So I've heard stories in the past about panel gaps and all these quality issues. I know that paint not necessarily the best. Sometimes a brand new car can come scratch. So I've heard it all when doing my research. When people talk about Tesla, they always refer to it as the iPhone on wheels, which makes sense. They are a software first company that just happened to build a really nice car. But based on my research, all the work they've done in the past, all the cars they've built, it's definitely been a clunky learning process along the way, panel gaps and all that. All those things, you buy a brand new car, they might come with chip paint or whatever. I'm really buying this car for the software itself. I mean, it is still a nice car on top of it, but just because the fact that it drives on its own is game changing, and I don't think that has been emphasized enough. And the good thing about having a car that is software based is it can get better over time. So even though my friends think self-driving sucks, full self-driving sucks a year or two ago with the hardware 3, now with hardware 4 out, it technically should be better. In my short time of doing the test drive, it worked out great. Although talking to at least 3 of my friends who own Teslas, they are not a fan of it. But I am convinced that the future is bright and robotaxis is around the corner. And one thing to keep in mind is, although I'm buying it now at hardware 4, there's been some rumors that at some point, whenever they do unsupervised self-driving, where you can just nap in the back and do not need to be present or watch the road at all, some rumors is that it may not necessarily support hardware 3. So as of now, hardware 4 should be in the clear, but who knows, that can change in a month from now with software and tech moving so fast. For all I know, they could just limit it to just hardware 5 or 4.5, whatever the time it is when they're fully ready. Not the biggest myth I want to debunk is that you need a garage to own a Tesla or any EV. And that was one of my biggest hesitation initially. A few of the friends that I reached out to, one of them, actually both of them had a garage, so it was easier for them. I live in a house without a garage, so I was a bit hesitant on how the charging situation was going to work. So regardless if you have a garage or not, as long as you have an outlet somewhere outside your house, which I do, you can charge your car with that even if it's a standard outlet. But after doing some more research, actually the outlet that I do have, it is a little bit further away from where I park, so it's just barely meeting the 25 feet or 20 feet mark. So I was really stretching it. But regardless, even if you do not have a garage, you can still install the charger outside and just charge it that way. So that's still some additional costs that you need to consider, but at least it's an option, and it doesn't necessarily rule out getting a car if you don't have a garage, which was one of my initial hesitation. But another thing to keep in mind is a lot of these, there's like different levels of the chargers as well. One, you can charge it with the same outlet as you charge your iPhone. Two, you can charge it with an outlet that is used for laundry or a washing machine. And three, you actually install a Tesla charger, and that one actually does the fourth one. Fourth one is the Tesla supercharger, so that is like the fastest of the fast, most expensive. You're on a road trip, you need to pull over and fill up. That's where you would do it, similar to the way you would fill up gas, but it'll take a little bit longer. But going back to option number 3 is, in a perfect world, you would need a 200 amp breaker to install that to get the full maximum charge. But even if you do have a 100 amp, you can still make it work. And after doing some research and getting some quotes, looking online, a lot of electricians, they're initially going to sell you to get the 200 amp breaker. But technically it's future proofing. If you ever want to add another charger, if you want to do more work in the house, add a heat pump, you're likely going to need it. But for me, I'm not really at the point where I want to spend another $5,000 to $7,000 to upgrade that. So I decided to opt out, and currently looking at installing the charger on my 100 amp breaker. Although it's gonna be a little bit slower, but at least it'll be faster than just charging on a regular outlet that you would charge your iPhone. Worst case scenario is gonna take some time for the charging situation to be set up. I plan to order the car and then order the charger. I'm not sure if the charger comes first or the car comes first, or they come at the same time when I go pick it up. But for the time being, I can use that long wire method, but it's not ideal. I probably want to prop a chair or something so that the charger's not sitting there dangling. Another option I do have is my car is right next to a window. I do have an outlet inside of my house as a little bootleg, but I guess in theory I can loop it out the window and charge it that way. Not ideal. Gotta find a way to insulate that and block it off. It will be getting warmer soon, so at least gotta try to keep the bugs out. But TBD. Hopefully I have the new charger installed by then and make my life a little bit easier. And at the end of 2025, they actually ended the $7,500 federal tax credit, which is a shame. Where was I the last, 2 to 10 years when they had that rebate? I have no idea. This timing didn't work out. But it's no use to crying over spilled milk. There's always other ways around it. The bright side is in 2026, we are actually seeing, at least at the beginning of the year, 0% interest rate for the base Model Y, which caught my attention. But after doing a little bit more research, I'm actually interested in the premium model, which is 1%, which isn't the end of the world. Before that, over the last 3 years, I'm pretty sure they've been hovering anywhere from 5 to 8%. So you do all that math over the course of 5 to 6 years or so, that's going to add up to about $12,000. So you look at it that way, even though the rebate went away for $7,500, you save more in interest in the long run, which is how I'm convincing myself that the math still works out better. And depending on what state you live in, I'm in Massachusetts, so you do still get the $3,500 mass rebate. So check your local states, see what are the rebates they have. Usually Tesla, they're pretty on top of it. They already built it into the pricing. If you go on the website, even the rebates around usually is already built in. So something to keep in mind. And then, and Uber is also doing some type of promo as well. If you're an Uber driver and all of a sudden you want to buy a Tesla, they give you a pretty decent incentive as well. I forget, it's like anywhere from 3 to 8 grand off if you do 100 rides. But you do have to be a platinum or a diamond member, whatever that means. I assume you got to drive over 200 to 300 rides. If you are already driving Uber and you have the high level status, it's not a bad time to get a Tesla and hop on that. I think the credit is still available till the end of April or so. But for me, I'm not gonna have one kid and another one on the way, so I'm not gonna have time to bang out those 300 to 400 ride or whatever it takes. But something worth looking into. Apologies for the terrible video quality and also audio throughout the whole video. But me being a busy dad, there's only so much time I have in a day, and I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to record this. Watching the kid all the time, working, sometimes the only time I have to record is when I'm walking to work or coming home from work. So most of my recording is done during my commute. Yeah, now I'm just gonna brainstorm my notes and record it once I'm in a nice quiet place. I'm just very excited about the whole experience. So I wanted to document everything on the spot. And as a result, that hasn't been the best video quality. Me recording at night, driving around is not ideal. But anyway, so it took me many years before I finally realized that I wasn't really looking for another car. I'm looking for an autonomous assistant, something that could just drive me anywhere I want, especially during the highway. So I'm very excited for the Tesla in that regards. And I know the federal tax credit is gone at this point, but there's no use in crying over spilled milk. I did all the math. Even when there was a $7,500 federal credit, the interest rate was much higher than anywhere from 5 to 8%. So over the course of 5 or 6 years, however long these loans are lasting, you're still going to be paying another, I don't know, 5 to 12 grand. So I feel like I might have gotten the better deal today without the tax credit at a very low interest rate. At least that's how I'm convincing myself. So regardless, numbers wise, I don't really care. I'm buying a new car. I don't have my Mazda 3 2012 anymore. It was a legend and it lasted many years. I could have repaired it more and kept it going, but I don't want to pour another 1 or 2 grand to fix the car when I can just get a brand new car that drives me. So I'm very excited about that. So are you a driver, or you're ready to let the car take over? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoy seeing content like these, let me know what else you want me to cover. I'll keep making more Tesla videos to pile up on top of all the other videos you see it on internet. But very excited being a first-time Tesla owner, and will you bring you guys along on the ride from the moment I decided to get the Tesla, which is this video, to actually doing the ordering and how that process go. And I'm going to update you on how it feels to actually own the Tesla and convincing myself to get a Tesla. I know initially it wasn't the easiest thing to do, but we're there, we're getting it, we're gonna go on this journey, and hope you guys come along for the ride. And please remember to like, subscribe. Please check out my other videos that I'm gonna post soon. For now, appreciate the time as always, and see you guys in the next video.